Happiness does not depend on what happens outside of you, but on what happens inside of you. With this wonderful thought, a very good morning to all my dear students. I hope you all are in good health. This is Shreya Jadhav and I welcome you all to my e-learning channel. Today we are going to learn English Grade 10 Poem 5 Amanda, written by Robin Klin. So before the reading and explanation of the poetry, let us know something about the poet. Robin Klin is an Australian author of books for children. She was born on 28 February 1936 in South Wales, Australia. She has received several awards like Australian Festival Award for Literature, which she won in the year 1998. So now let us move ahead to the setting of the poetry. Every child feels that he or she is controlled and instructed not to do one thing or the other. You too may feel that your freedom is curtailed. So, in this poetry, we are going to learn and study about one of the incident or many of the incident which you can relate with your own life. So now let us see introduction for answers. Dear students, whenever you write down your answer for your test, for your examination purpose, always remember that you are supposed to write the introduction first and then you are supposed to start with the answer. So the introduction would be poem, poem's name Amanda, poet's name Robin Klin, genre poetry, summary. Every child feels that he or she is controlled and instructed not to do one thing or the other. You too may feel that your freedom is curtailed. So now we will go through the reading and explanation of the poetry along with the meanings. So let us begin. Every child feels that she or he is controlled and instructed not to do one thing or another. You too may feel that your freedom is curtailed. Write down some of the things that you want to do, but your parents or elders do not allow you to. Don't bite your nails, Amanda. Don't hunch your shoulders, Amanda. Stop that slouching and sit up straight, Amanda. So over here in this poem, there are total 7 stanzas, out of which first, third, fifth and 7th stanzas are made up of 4 lines each, and they are being spoken up by Amanda's mother. The second stanza, 4th and 6th one are written within the brackets and are made up of 3 lines each and are fantasized, means it has been imagined by Amanda herself. So in the first paragraph, don't bite your nails, Amanda. Don't hunch your shoulders, Amanda. Stop that slouching and sit up straight, Amanda. Over here, hunch means to bend from the back. Slouching means drooping down. So this poem depicts the state of a little girl's mind who is constantly instructed about do's and don'ts by her mother or some elders. Will consider that it is being told by the mother. She is told strictly not to bite her nails or hunch her shoulders or slouch, but she is supposed to sit straight. These basic etiquettes and manners are being taught to her by the mother, but eventually she is not liking these things. Now, the first paragraph is told by the mother, the instructions are given. Now, let us move to the second one. You can see over here, this paragraph, this stanza carries only 3 lines. There is a languid emerald sea, where the sole inhabitant is me, a mermaid drifting blissfully. So, over here, languid means relaxed, inhabitant means residence, the place you live. Drifting means to move really slowly. Over here, mermaid moves really slowly. And blissful means happily. So over here, Amanda fancies that she is a mermaid. As a sole resident, means the only person living over there, drifting, moving really very slowly and happily in a relaxed emerald sea. Now, as the mother is trying to scold her or she is trying to improve her, but Amanda is basically in her thoughts only. The second paragraph is, did you finish your homework, Amanda? Did you tidy your room, Amanda? I thought I told you to clean your shoes, Amanda. So the third paragraph over here is instructed and told by the mother, and she is trying to say, she is asking that if she has finished her homework and if she has tidied her room. The mother then also asks her that whether she has cleaned her shoes or not. The fourth para. I am an orphan roaming the street. I pattern soft dust with my hushed bare feet. The silence is golden. The freedom is sweet. Over here, hushed means something which is silent. So over here in the fourth paragraph, what imagination Amanda is having, we will come to know. She again has her thoughts, where she is imagining herself to be an orphan child roaming on the street. She is making some kind of patterns on the soft dust with her bare feet. However, she enjoys her freedom in silence of her thought. Don't eat that chocolate, Amanda. Remember your acne, Amanda. Will you please look at me when I am speaking to you, Amanda? The fifth paragraph is again instructed and told by the mother. And over here, these sort of things you might have always told by your parents, that you are supposed to behave when someone is speaking to you, listen to them, have that eye contact. So the same situation is over here also. Amanda is forbidden from eating chocolates. That is because it could give her acne. Acne means some kind of pimples or some kind of scars, but over here we'll consider as pimple. And Amanda's mother commands her to look at her when she is speaking to her. Yes, some things if we don't like what our parents are trying to tell us, we avoid eye contact. So over here, mother is scolding her that whenever she is talking to Amanda, she is supposed to look into her eyes whenever any sort of instructions are given to her. I am Rapunzel. I have not a care. Life is a tower, is tranquil and rare. I'll certainly never let down my bright hair. So over here, tranquil means to calm down. Over here, this paragraph is being imagined and thought by Amanda. Amanda fantasizes that she is Rapunzel and she is very happy to live alone in the tower where she has nothing to worry about. Everything there is so much peaceful, calm, and serene, and not many people know about that life. She vows means she promises to never let her golden hair down to escape from the tower. Means she likes to stay over there only. The last paragraph. Stop that sulking at once, Amanda. You are always so moody, Amanda. Anyone would think that I nagged at you, Amanda. So over here, sulking means brooding and nagged means harassed. So the last seventh stanza is being spoken by the mother, and she is trying to tell that soon her mother starts scolding her again and tells her to stop sulking, which means brooding and being moody always, as anyone would feel that her mother is nagging her or harassing her all the way. This is a kind of quality which all the students and children are always having. If sometimes it is our fault and still the parents are scolding us, we would behave in such a mannerism that we are so innocent, and we'll think like that we have not done anything wrong. Yes, it is our parents who are always shouting. So whenever we are no in young age or whenever we are small, no, people used to tell that no, this person always scolds their children. Yes, but eventually it is us who is always at fault. So over here it is beautifully presented by the poet how a child fantasies the whole situation when parents are trying to give her instructions. I hope you all have understood the poetry well. Now we will move ahead with the figures of speech line by line. Figures of speech. Don't bite your nails, Amanda. So the first figure of speech over here is exclamation, and that is an exclamatory form is used for the poetic effect. The second one is litotes. A negation is used to convey a positive meaning. Over here we can see do not. So not is used. It means the mother is telling her to avoid, not to bite the nails. The second one is don't hunch your shoulders, Amanda. So the first figure of speech over here is exclamation. An exclamatory form is used for poetic effect. The second one is synecdoche. The meaning of it would be a part stands for a whole or a whole stands for a part, where human body parts are taken into consideration. So here you can see that a part, which means a shoulder, represents the whole girl, that is Amanda. The next one is litotes. A negation is used to convey a positive meaning. So over here the mother is trying to tell her to avoid hunching her shoulders. The next one is stop that slouching and sit up straight, Amanda. So over here the first figure of speech is alliteration. The consonant sound st, which is st, is repeated in the words stop and straight. You can see that over here the letters are being repeated, that is stop and straight. You can see that the words start with st. So this will become alliteration. The next one is there is languid emerald scene, where the sole inhabitant is me, a mermaid drifting blissfully. Over here, the first figure of speech is metaphor. So there is a comparison between Amanda and mermaid. The point of comparison is to enjoy one's freedom. The sea is compared to color emerald. So this will become metaphor. The next one is metonymy. What is the meaning of metonymy? An attribute or a thing is represented by closely related to. So over here, mermaid represents Amanda. So this becomes metonymy. Next one is personification. When any human quality is given to any non-living object or inanimate object is considered as personification. So over here, inanimate sea is given quality of language, which means to relax. Now relaxation or to be relaxed is a quality being done by living beings. So the sea is given that quality. The next one is internal rhyme. Over here in one single line, we have the rhyming words sea and me. And they both are used in the same sentence. So this will become internal rhyme. The next figure of speech is, did you finish your homework, Amanda? So the figure of speech over here is interrogation. A question is asked not for the sake of an answer but for a poetic effect. So over here she is not asking that whether she should give an affirmative answer or a negative answer, but for a poetic effect it is been put forward. The next one is, did you tidy your room, Amanda? So the figure of speech over here is again interrogation. That is, a question is asked not for the sake of an answer but for the poetic effect it is being put forward. The next one is, I thought. I told you to clean your shoes, Amanda. So over here the first figure of speech is exclamation. It means an exclamatory form is used for poetic effect. You can see that after Amanda there is an exclamatory mark being used. The next one is repetition. It means repetition of words are being done in one single line is considered as repetition. So over here we have word I being repeated for the poetic effect. Eighth one is, I am an orphan roaming the street. So over here the figure of speech is metonymy. What does it mean? What is the meaning of it? Metonymy means an attribute or a thing which is represented by another closely related to. There is a sort of comparison being made. So over here orphan represents Amanda. So instead of writing Amanda they have used an attribute called orphan. The next one is, I pattern soft dust with my hushed bare feet. So over here the figure of speech is synecdoche. That is, a part stands for a whole stands for a part. And over here a part, that is feet, a body part, represents the girl. That is for Amanda. The next one is transferred epithet. Over here the adjective hushed has been transferred from Amanda to her feet. Next is metaphor. That is, Amanda's footprints are compared to design. and the point of comparison is to form a shape. So what do you mean by metaphor? It is an indirect comparison between two unlike objects. So over here you can see that Amanda's footprints are compared with the design which she is making with those bare feet. And over here the point of comparison is how the shapes are formed. The next one is the silence is golden, the freedom is sweet. So the figure of speech over here is metaphor. That is an implied simile. An indirect comparison is being made between two unlike objects. So over here silence is compared to gold, and over here the point of comparison is to be precious. You can see that gold is really precious, and over here for Amanda silence is also very precious like gold. So this will become a metaphor. There is an indirect comparison done between them. The next one is don't eat that chocolate, Amanda. So over here the first figure of speech is exclamation. An exclamatory form is used for poetic effect. And the next one is litotes. A negation is used to convey a positive meaning or an affirmative meaning. So over here the mother is telling her to avoid eating chocolates because that could be bad for her health. But over here you can see that do not is written, which conveys a negation, so that will become a litotes. But over here the meaning which carries is a positive one. The 12th figure of speech is remember your acne, Amanda. So the figure of speech over here is exclamation. An exclamatory form is used for poetic effect. 13th one is will you please look at me when I am speaking to you, Amanda. So the first figure of speech over here is exclamation. An exclamatory form is used for poetic effect. The next one is alliteration. So over here you can see the consonant sound W is being repeated in the words like will and when. So this will become alliteration. The next one is repetition, where words are being repeated for poetic effect. And over here we have the word you that is being repeated for the poetic effect. The 14th figure of speech, that is I am Rapunzel. I have not a care. Life in a tower is tranquil or rare. So here we have metonymy, that is an attribute which is closely related to, and that is Rapunzel represents Amanda. Yes, they are being closely related to, or they represent each other. The next one is internal rhyme. Over here we have words like care and rare. So you can see this is rhyming and they are in same sentence, so this will be internal rhyme. The 15th one, I'll be certainly never let down my bright hair. So over here the first one is exclamation. You can see that there is an exclamation mark there. So an exclamatory form is used for poetic effect. And the next one is synecdoche. That is a part stands for a whole or a whole stands for a part. And over here we have a part of hair which represents the whole Amanda. Yes, the whole girl. So this will become synecdoche. 16th one is stop that sulking at once, Amanda. So the figure of speech over here is exclamation, that is an exclamatory form, is used for poetic effect. The next one, you are always so moody, Amanda. And the figure of speech over here is exclamation, that is an exclamatory form, is used for poetic effect. And the last figure of speech, that would be anyone would think that I nagged at you, Amanda. So over here the figure of speech would be exclamation, that is an exclamatory form, is used for poetic effect. Over here the major figure of speech is exclamation, because you can see at many places the exclamatory marks are being put up, so you can easily recognize it. So this is all about the figures of speech. Let us go back to the summary of what the poetry tries to tell us. So the poem consists 7 stanzas. First, third, fifth and seventh are spoken by Amanda's mother. We'll consider like this. The second, fourth and sixth stanzas, which are written in brackets, are being fantasized, means it has been imagined by Amanda herself. This poem depicts the state of a little girl's mind who is constantly instructed about do's and don'ts by her mother. She is told strictly not to bite her nails, hunch her shoulders, or to slouch, but she is supposed to sit straight. Amanda fancies that she is a mermaid, as a soul, means the only resident, drifting happily in a relaxed emerald sea. She is asked if she has finished her homework and if she has tidied her room. The mother then told her to clean her shoes. She again has her thoughts where she is imagining herself to be an orphan child, roaming on the streets. She is making patterns on the soft dust with her bare feet. However, she enjoys her freedom in the silence of her thought, because that is very precious for her. She is forbidden from eating a chocolate that is with her because it would give her acne. Amanda's mother commands her to look at her when she is talking to her. Amanda fantasizes that she is a Rapunzel, means a princess, and she is very happy to live alone in the tower where she has nothing to worry about. Everything there is peaceful, and not too many people know about that life. She promises to never let her golden hair down to escape from the tower. Soon her mother starts scolding her again and tell her to stop being so much sulking and brooding and being so much moody always, as anyone would feel that her mother nagged her all the time. So, this is all about the reading and the explanation of the poetry along with the explanation of the figures of speech. I hope you all have understood it well, and if you still find any doubt or difficulties, you can comment down in the comment section below. Thank you for watching and have a nice day, everyone.